The issue of climate change merits immediate action because it defines human development issues of our generation and the future generation. Climate change threatens to erode human freedoms and people's choices. The increased exposure to intense storms, floods, and environmental stress holds back the efforts of the poor to build a better life for themselves and their children. Apart from the exacerbating poverty, climate change is also posing a lot of challenges in the health sector, agriculture, energy, education, and transport, just to mention a few.
I think climate change is real. Climate change is taking place, and as a nation and a country, we need to be aware of the impacts of climate change going forward, and be prepared for any eventuality that may happen. So I would, from the work that we do, I would definitely encourage more work in environmental conservation, more work in tree planting, so that we can increase tree cover and hopefully manage areas or restore areas that have been affected by these floods so that communities do not have to bear the brunt of these floods in future.
We usually see increased frequencies of flooding as well as dry spells, sometimes happening in the same localities. And so what we have seen, for example, this year is a typical manifestation of such impacts. And the challenge is that it is closely associated with how we are able to build systems and structures that are able to withstand such impacts.
Climate change has and will continue impacting sectors such as agriculture, water resources, and energy, just to mention a few. A case at hand is that of frequent blackouts and persistent water shortages in various areas in the country. Blantyre is one such an example where frequent blackouts and water shortages are becoming the order of the day.
I think we need a concerted effort by multiple stakeholders. The environmental conservation is obviously a long-term solution because tree planting takes a long time for us to actually feel the benefits of tree planting. But environmental conservation is important in this regard.
Obviously, it is a difficult situation, and it is something that we are all affected. It is certainly not something to be happy about. But at the same time, it is high time, and it is indeed an awakening to the country about the need to ensure that we actually do our part when it comes to building adaptive capacities to the impacts of climate-related extreme events.
These women too are desperately drawing water from these drainages as they have experienced more than 5 days of no water supply from the water board. They have no choice but to go through such tough times.
Nimene somukuonera abamazi mmene tukutunga abantu mazi osakhala bwino kwambiri pasi tuzozora kuchokera kuti ndi mvula imene imagwayi situzozora asakanikirana ndi chani tupezeka kuti tikumwa amazi amene osakhala bwino ndiye pamene pamathero ake tuzozora kuti matenda chani sitikuzwa kuti titani pamene papa.
Not only them, but these farmers too are hopeless that they will have enough fuel with the current weather pattern. A closer look at their crops shows that this year's excess rains offers nothing good for them as their maize shows no sign of being heard, something they never experienced before. No wonder. These are just some of the many consequences of the effects of climate change, though people seem not to be aware. The high rate of deforestation and cultivating in protected areas are among the reasons contributing to the recent flash floods, being the visible effects of climate change. The end result is excess siltation that is affecting the service delivery of both ESCOM and Water Board.
This is a very serious problem because people have cut down trees along the river banks, and even cultivation, people are cultivating almost everywhere, and all the silting that is happening here is coming from the activities of human beings. So as a ministry, all we can do is to ask the people to stop doing that, because if they continue, definitely the whole river is going to be silted and we may not even have water.
The recent flooding situation that has hit Malawi has not only affected those displaced and rendered homeless, but it has also affected those in town or the working class, as business has been brought to a halt due to blackouts and dry pipes. These being the essential elements of productivity that drives the economy of this country. The state president too, His Excellency Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, had to stop attending to other important office issues and matters of national interest just to show his concern and love for his people who have been affected by the floods. Despite the situation at hand, officials from both the Electricity Supply Commission of Malawi and the Water Board are working tirelessly to normalize the situation, though it is becoming hard for others to understand what these dedicated men are going through.
As ESCOM, the effects of deforestation is really negatively affecting us in the power generation, because a lot of trash is let free into the river, and as much as possible we would rather use the water which is free from trash for generation. Now when the water is coming with trash, it affects our operations in such a way that sometimes we have to stop the generation process just to take out the trash from the river. To fellow Malawians, I would say let us, as much as possible, preserve the trees such that the water coming into the river doesn't come with a lot of trash, which affects negatively the generation process.
ESCOM is under the Ministry of Energy, Mining and Environment, which means further upstream tree planting has got to be intensified if we are going to minimize this problem or completely avert a similar problem coming up in future. The back of it is really a result of environmental degradation. So from our side, obviously as the government will continue to assist both the management here, but continue to also impress upon Malawians that we will need to manage the environment.
If we do not do anything to the environment, if we do not start planting trees, we should know that flash floods have come to stay, so that every year we'll be experiencing flash floods until we come to a point when we can understand and start planting trees. This is just the beginning of the problems. We are yet to see more problems, and until we decide as government or as people in this country to start planting trees massively, that's when these things will go eventually.
As it has been said, if we don't take part in conserving our environment, the floods we have seen, the deaths we have witnessed, and the people displaced and losing their property due to floods, these are just the beginning of the worst things we are yet to see. Remember, we are free to make choices, but we are not free from the consequences of our choices.